First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Welcome to WFT News First at 5. I'm Ethan Curtis.
And I'm Samantha Chery. Thanks for joining us. The Florida House is discussing a bill that would change how Alachua County voters elect their county commissioners. The message is sounding from social media to the Capitol.
That caught the attention of our Ethan Budowsky. Ethan, you've been on this trail all day. What have you been able to uncover?
That's right, Ethan. It's a very hot topic out here, and currently Alachua County voters elect all 5 county commissioners, even the ones who do not live in their same district. Under the change, voters would elect just their district's commissioner. I spent my day looking into what impact the change would have.
Alachua County Democrats face a threat to their dominance. Florida Representative Chuck Clemens is trying to create 5 single-member districts in Alachua County, meaning voters would only vote for the commissioners that represent their district. Alachua County Commissioner Mary Helen Wheeler is concerned it will harm representation for the whole county.
We want to make sure that all of the citizens of Alachua County have access to 5 commissioners, not just 1.
The bill, which is making its way through the state house, would put the referendum on Alachua's ballot in November. The switch to single-member districts is usually taken up by the minority party to try and flip the power structure in a county. The Alachua County Commission called out Clemens' actions in a recent Facebook post, stating, quote, "Single-member districts are nothing more than an attempt to gerrymander a district that would ensure a far-right conservative is elected." However, in Alachua, changing to single-member districts may not have the normal intended effect.
Behind me is a map of Alachua County. The county is divided into 5 districts, and the way the districts are drawn, Gainesville voters would make up the majority of the population in each. That means that even if the county were to move away from at-large voting, its biggest city would still have the most influence on the way it votes.
Local voter Larry Rentz believes people should vote specifically for the candidate that represents them.
I want to vote for the people that are going to represent exactly where I'm living at and not where someone else is living at, or vice versa.
Jeffrey Garcia also supported the change. He wants a representative that will focus on the issues he finds most impactful to his local community within Alachua.
Traffic issues. The duration shouldn't be so long for a regular workday.
The commission unanimously holds the best way to represent the county's issues is under the current format.
The bill is being debated by the State Affairs Committee as we speak. Despite strong Republican support, there's still a long way to go before it appears on your ballot in November. Now from one Ethan, back to another.
Thanks, Ethan. Several new apartment buildings in Gainesville hope to attract college students and others. Brand new apartment buildings are being built all around the University of Florida. The new construction efforts come during a steady population increase in Gainesville. In the last 10 years, Gainesville has had a population growth of 8.56%. Developers are aware there are some who can't afford luxury housing.
Being this close to campus, it's a great venue for these kids, and so, I think we're building a great product at a reasonable price.
Stadium House construction is expected to be completed by fall 2022. Strickland expects his team to meet the deadline in time to begin housing for the fall semester.
A wedding reception turned deadly in Florida after police shot and killed one of the guests. According to the Winter Park Police, the 39-year-old man was celebrating a family member's wedding when he started to fight other guests. One of the responding officers was knocked unconscious when he approached the man outside the venue. As a crowd gathered, a second officer fired at the man, who was an uncle of the bride. Family members say the shooting was unjustified and his only crime was drinking and having a good time with his family. A helicopter crashed Saturday into the ocean off Miami Beach, and it narrowly missed people in the water. Keep an eye on the sky to the upper right of your screen, and you'll see the chopper start its unplanned descent, which just missed dozens of people. The 3 people on board ended up in stable condition at a local hospital.
We had a beautiful and sunny day outside of our studio.
WUFT's Julia Haley joins us now with the weather forecast.
Yes, we had a gorgeous day outside. Happy President's Day. Currently seeing some clear blue skies with some scattered cumulus clouds, which are a little bit shorter than normal because we have high pressure in our area. Currently sitting at 80 degrees with some southeasterly winds. So our temperatures right now are sitting a little above average. 80 for Gainesville, 80 Ocala, 75 Palatka, 79 for Stark, and of course a little bit cooler on the East Coast, sitting in the mid 70s, 74 and 75. Of course, for our hour by hour, those temperatures dropping into the evening, mild into the lows of the upper 50s. Back to the desk.
Rich greenery and diverse wildlife are abundant in north central Florida, but land development and climate change pose a threat to the local environment.
WUFT's Kendall Brandt spent time with a local group that aims to combat climate change on a local scale.
I spent time with We Are Neutral, a nonprofit that wants to ensure the reduction of carbon emissions across the state. The group gets their hands dirty each weekend to enrich the environment they call home. Passion for conservation is blooming in north central Florida. This growth stems from planting longleaf pines.
Planting them now plants seeds for our future.
Over the course of 6 weeks, We Are Neutral has planted over 9,000 saplings, just like this one, in Ashton Biological Preserve. We Are Neutral, a Gainesville nonprofit, is here for the environment almost every weekend. The project began after the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service gave Ashton Biological Preserve a grant for 10,000 longleaf pine saplings. Longleaf pines are native to north central Florida. Deforestation contributes to the loss of the pine population. The grant aims to reduce carbon emissions, provide cleaner air, and give habitat for local wildlife.
With the ecosystem, the longleaf pine ecosystem, out of the entirety of it, only 3% remains.
Ashton Biological Preserve received the grant and then commissioned help growing the roots through We Are Neutral.
They said they'd love to do it and came on out, and yeah, we got some trees in the ground because of it.
We Are Neutral plans to continue conservation work once the 10,000 saplings are rooted.
We're definitely going to be planting some butterfly plants in the upcoming months, and we constantly have volunteer events on our website.
We Are Neutral doesn't want to pause its conservation work.
We're doing the best that we can in this moment to kind of create a better future for tomorrow and then also long term.
The group hopes its nonprofit work will seed sustainable environmental growth for the future. The group is looking for volunteers to help out with climate action initiatives. For more information on how you can help, visit weareneutral.com. Back to you, Ethan.
Thanks, Kendall. We have more news coming up from Florida and beyond,
including what you need to know coming out of Ukraine. We'll tell you the new agreement Biden made with Putin and how diplomats are working to ease the crisis in Ukraine.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Major developments today in the Ukraine crisis. Russian President Vladimir Putin formally recognized 2 pro-Russian regions of eastern Ukraine as independent states. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest from Washington.
In a move many experts see as a potential trigger for further violence, Russian President Vladimir Putin today recognizing as independent 2 breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine, where Russia's been backing separatist fighters since 2014 and where shelling has spiked in recent days.
I think if he's going to recognize them, that could be the first step toward a full annexation. I think that will precipitate military engagement between the Ukrainian and Russian forces, leading to, I think, maybe a full-scale war.
Amid U.S. warnings that Russia is trying to manufacture an excuse to invade Ukraine, Russian separatists now claim Ukrainian forces have launched an unprovoked attack against them, claims Ukraine and the West sharply deny. President Biden's national security advisors assembling at the White House today after NBC News confirmed that U.S. intelligence shows President Putin has already given the order to invade Ukraine.
Any military operation of the size, scope, and magnitude of what we believe the Russians are planning will be extremely violent. It will cost the lives of Ukrainians and Russians, civilians and military personnel alike.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky convening his own Security Council today after publicly admonishing Western leaders, urging stronger action to head off a Russian invasion that could send damaging ripples across the world. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Former President Donald Trump's social media app is now available to download in the Apple App Store. Truth Media is being touted as a social media platform that encourages free speech without discriminating against political ideology. This will mark Trump's return to social media after he was banned from Twitter and Facebook following the January 6th Capitol riot. The British government is ending all general COVID restrictions in England in what the Prime Minister calls a moment of pride. Boris Johnson announced today that the British government is lifting almost all COVID restrictions. In England, people will no longer be legally required to self-isolate for 10 days after testing positive. There will just be a recommendation to do so for 5 days. The government will dramatically cut down on relief pay to those missing work. And starting April 1st, rapid test kits won't be free for all, only for certain at-risk groups.
Boris Johnson's move comes one day after Buckingham Palace announced Queen Elizabeth has tested positive for COVID. The 95-year-old Queen, who is celebrating her 70th year on the throne, is experiencing mild cold-like symptoms. The palace had reduced staffing to form more of a protective bubble, but Omicron made it through to both staff and the royal family. Prince Charles tested positive for a second time 12 days ago, while his wife Camilla confirmed she had the virus too. We're getting a very taste of summer this week.
A current warming trend is bringing us highs in the 80s. You can see a sunny day out there on our campus cam. How long will it last? Stick around for the full forecast.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
Gorgeous skies for our President's Day. Currently looking very clear outside of our studio, sitting at 80 degrees, feels like 79. Of course, seeing those southeasterly winds, bringing us those warmer temperatures for this evening. So for tonight, we should be seeing those sunny and warm conditions persist, but by the evening and into our morning, we should be seeing lows in the 60s, overall clear skies. So for this week, those warm and sunny conditions are looking to stay, and those temperatures are staying pretty above average as well. 79 for Gainesville, 79 Bronson, 80 for Ocala, 78 Stark, and a little bit cooler on the East Coast, 74 Palatka, 72 St. Augustine, and 75 for Jacksonville. And it looks like it's going to feel around the same, still very hot. So 79 Gainesville, 80 for Ocala, 74 Palatka, and still a little bit cooler on the East Coast, 72 St. Augustine and 74 Jacksonville. Overall, looks like we've increased in temperature over the past 24 hours. So a 70-degree difference in Gainesville, giving us those warmer temperatures, 8 for Waldo, 7 for Archer, and 7 for Hawthorne. So that's why you may be feeling those summer-like conditions. For our Tuesday, sitting in the mid-80s, so 83 for Gainesville, 83 Ocala, 82 for Stark, and 84 Bronson. Of course, this is part of the warming trend for this week. On to our Wednesday, getting even warmer, sitting even more in those mid-80s. So 85 for you, Gainesville, 84 Bronson, 85 for Ocala, 83 Palatka, still a little bit cooler on the East Coast, but Jacksonville is looking to be at 82. So this is all because of that warming trend. As you can see in our upper winds, that maritime tropical air mass is bringing in that warmer temperature toward our area, all because it's sitting under that ridge, giving us that pocket of warm air for this time of year. Of course, those above average temperatures staying pretty consistent throughout the week, sitting in the mid-80s, but by Saturday and Sunday, looks like we'll be cooling a little bit into the mid-70s. Overall, looks like we should be seeing sunny skies throughout the rest of the week. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Julia. This weekend was great for Gator fans. 13 events happened across Saturday and Sunday.
Some fans of the men's basketball team even stormed the court after Saturday's big win, and it was the first time in decades. We'll learn why Gator fans were so excited when we return back.
You're watching WUFT TV News.
The Gator men's basketball team squares its SEC record at 7-7 after beating number 2 Auburn on Saturday. Welcome back, I'm Jensen Young. Florida held on to an upset against Auburn, winning 63-62. With 7.1 seconds left in the game, Auburn had the ball, but the Gator defense was able to make the stop. Gator fans were very excited about the result, and some even stormed the court. Coach Mike White appreciated the effort he saw from his team in the win against the nation's number 2 team.
What an incredible physical intensity level effort for 40 minutes. Led by Colin and Tyree. Auburn's got a chance to win the whole thing, you know, and we just beat them. So great win for us, obviously.
Next, the Gators play number 18 Arkansas at home tomorrow. Despite losing to LSU yesterday, the Florida women's basketball team has moved up to number 15 in the nation. This jump in rankings comes from 2 victories over the course of last week. In the LSU game, 3 Gators scored in double figures, with junior guard Nina Rickards leading the way with 17 points. Florida is now 21-7 on the season and 10-14 in the SEC. On Thursday, the Gators will play Vanderbilt. The UF softball team has been unbeatable to start the season. 10 games in, the Gators are 10-0. Over the weekend, the Gators hosted the T-Mobile tournament and played 4 games. The Gators gave up just 4 runs total across all the games. Freshman outfielder Kendra Falby scored 6 runs while tallying 8 hits this weekend. Across their 10 games this season, the Gators have scored 77 runs and given up just 6. Next, the Gators have 2 games against UNF tomorrow and Wednesday. The Florida men's swimming and diving team may be number 5 in the nation, but in the SEC, they're number 1 for the 10th year in a row. Florida finished with 1,414 points, almost 500 points ahead of Alabama and Tennessee, who tied for 2nd place. This win is also the 43rd SEC championship all time for the Gator men's swimming and diving team. They now have a 2-week break before the NCAA diving zones and a month before the NCAA championship. Florida baseball coach Kevin O'Sullivan is beginning his 15th season with the Gators. His team lost their opening weekend series against Liberty 2-1. The Gators won their first game of the season on Friday 7-2, but proceeded to give up 11 runs combined in the 2 losses on Saturday and Sunday. Despite returning 7 of 9 hitters from last season's lineup, the Gators struggled offensively at times over the weekend. O'Sullivan is hopeful that the offense will pick up going forward.
2 strikes, we've been really good in the preseason. I don't know exactly what happened this weekend. Maybe the game sped up on them a little bit. I mean, it's part of it, but I do think we're going to be a really good offensive team.
Next, the Gators play Stetson tomorrow. The Gator lacrosse team stays ranked number 7 in the country despite losing to number 2 North Carolina on Saturday. The Gators lost 15-11 to the Tar Heels. Sophomore Danielle Pavanelli led the way for Florida with a career high in goals with 6 on the day. Freshman Emma Lapinto added 2 goals of her own after recording 6 in the first game of the season. Next up for the Gators, they take on number 5 Maryland on Saturday. That's your local sports and news. Now back to the desk.
Thanks, Jensen. And before we go, one last check on the weather.
This evening, starting in the mid-70s, but dropping down into the upper 50s overnight, seeing clear skies overall. For this week, we should be expecting those summer-like temperatures to stay with highs in the mid-80s. Overall, clear skies, and by the weekend, we should be seeing those temperatures take a little dip into more normal temperatures, but still warm for this time of year. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Julia. BBC World News is next, and the PBS NewsHour is coming up at 7.
But your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.